Bismillah, alhamdulillah, wa salatu wa salam ala Rasulullah. Amma ba'd, assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, my dear brothers and sisters in Islam. And I hear a rumor that you want to be a da'iyah. MashaAllah, good for you. Welcome aboard. It's a long, hard way, but it's worth it. The fruit is there. You know, one of my teachers says, if you want to become on the pulpit, put your head on your palm. Enjoy the ride. Now, let's check out your ticker. How's your heart? Why we're talking about the heart? Because that's exactly where we're going to go. The heart is where it's at. You know why? Because the heart is in the middle of the body, just like Mecca, in the middle of the world. And Ikhlās is where it's at. And that's what we're going to be talking about in this episode. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us sincerity and Ikhlās and accept from us all. Speaking of the definition of Ikhlās, the scholars actually say it is about 5 things. One is إقرار باللسان واعتقاد بالجنان وعمل بالأركان يزيد بالطاعة وينقص بالعصيان, which actually means it is a iqrar, which means you're actually condoning, you're submitting, you're saying that this is what it is with the tongue, and then with your actions and deeds, your whims, limbs, and desires. What it does, it proves what you say. It's not just a lip service, it's actually proven with your actions and deeds. So we walk the talk. We'll talk about that in another episode, inshallah. And then what you have in the intention of the heart, so it's internal and external. According to that, the definition of ibadah is actually given by Ibn Taymiyyah rahmatullahi alayhi, when he said it is the actions and deeds and utterance, internal and external, to please God Almighty. And it actually goes up with the act of obedience, and it goes down with the act of disobedience. So let's go up, not down. However, there are 3 types of Imān. We fall into the category where we go up and down. The ones that go up only are prophets and messengers. We're not there. The ones that don't go up or down are the angels. So let's stick down to earth, where we are, human beings. Now, how about this sincerity? You know why it's in the heart? Because it's an action of Imān, belief of the unseen. Indeed, one of the most difficult things to attain. Some of the scholars says, I was asked about the most difficult part to do. He says it was Ikhlās. He was asked why. Because an-nafs, my whims and desires, has no nasib. There is no actually treasures or getting reward for it. So the nafs doesn't really like it so much. However, please understand how to attain this Ikhlās. There are very simple rules that actually a scholars told us about. First, make sure that people don't exist. So they're equal to you, whether you like him or don't like him. People give you compliments or criticize you. It doesn't matter. فَلْيَرْضَ عَنِّي النَّاسُ أَوْ فَلْيَسْخَطُوا أَنَا لَمْ أَعُدْ أَسْعَى لِغَيْرِ رِضَاكَ, which means if people are pleased with me or displeased with me, it doesn't matter as long as you, Allah, is pleased with me. I want to share something, a quote from Ibn al-Qayyim rahmatullahi alayhi. He said such a beautiful utterance that we have to be writing with that gold leaf. Beautiful, wallahi. تُكْتَب بِسَوَادِ الْعَيْنِ. He says, أَعْمَالُ الْقُلُوبِ هِيَ الْأَصْلُ. The actions of the heart, it is the origin and the foundation of all actions and deeds. وَأَعْمَالِ الْجَوَارِحِ تَبَعًا وَمَكْمَلًا, which means the limbs are to follow the actions of the hearts and to complete it. وَإِنَّ النِّيَّةَ بِمَنْزِلَةِ الرُّوحِ. Your intention is a place of your spirit or your soul. وَالْعَمَلْ بِمَنْزِلَةِ الْجَسَدِ لِلْأَعْضَاءِ. But your actions and deeds are actually in that level of your soldiers, or the body for the soul. الَّذِي إِذَا فَارَقَ الرُّوحِ مَاتَتْ. If the spirit leaves the body, it dies. Amazing, wallahi. فَمَعْرِفَةَ أَحْكَامِ الْقُلُوبِ مَعْرِفَةَ أَحْكَامِ الْجَوَارِحِ. To know your heart is to know your actions and deeds, meaning that your heart is actually your motor, and your actions and deeds are a reflection of what you have in your heart. And that's why I'm going to ask you all the time, how is your ticker? How is your heart? A few things that we have to keep in mind. One is ask yourself why you're doing this before you start. Number 2, while you're doing it, ask yourself, why are you doing this? And after you do it, please ask yourself again, why did I do this? A beautiful definition by Izz ibn Salam about the Ikhlās in itself. He says that الإخلاص أن يفعل المكلف الطاعة خالصة لله وحده لا يريد بها تعظيما من الناس ولا توقيرا. He said the Ikhlās is that human being, when you do something, you do it specifically for the sake of Allah. You don't really seek the reward for anyone. It doesn't matter to you because, as we mentioned before, people do not exist. It's amazing. If you think about it, go back in history, you'll find out that Ali ibn al-Hasan, radiallahu anhu, al-Bayt al-Athhar, actually he used to do things at nighttime. He used to feed the poor at nighttime. He used to carry a bag full of food. You know how they knew? It's after he died. It was cut off. When they gave him ghusl, they saw a black line on his back. Amazing, wallahi. And after that, they found out it was him. So do you have a secret between you and Allah? You know another mission stick? Let your secret life be better than your public life. If you have that, congratulations. If not, let's get it. Now, there's other definitions I'm going to share with you, inshallah. Then we go into that, how to attain it. So let me share a good story with you. It's a true story. Actually, it happened in the States. There was a scholar, PhD, by him, but he didn't speak English very well. But he had Ikhlās. He was actually asked to go to prison to speak to prisoners, and they actually open up the floor for anyone that wants to come and give da'wah, for any actually way of life, not just Islam. So the man said, I didn't know what to say. I will just use my broken English and say, ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to give me Ikhlās. He had 60 people in the prison to talk about, and he had 2 guards, and these were like main machine, the one that looked like Baba, you know, that killed your mama. Don't go there. Those 60 were actually listening to him. So the man, the doctor, was actually talking about how to, what is Islam is all about, and so on. So believe it or not, when he talked about Islam, he just told about what is the monotheism, Tawheed, Ikhlās, and all of that. And before he actually finished the sentence, one man raised his hand. You know what he said? He says, I want to become a Muslim. He says, what do I have to do? He says, you say the Shahada. So he said the word in the Shahada, he repeated him. After that man finished, the other man raised his hand. The second one comes in. And the man puts his hand down, the third one raises. 3, 4, 5, 6, up to 26, believe it or not. Took Shahada in prison while 2 guards were right next to them. And that man couldn't believe himself because he couldn't speak even English very well. But he had the heart, he had the language of the heart. He had the sincerity, he had the link with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And after that, he couldn't believe it. He went home. A phone call came through. He says, I am so-and-so. He says, as if I know who you are. Actually, no, you don't know me. He says, I think I heard you before. He says, no, you don't know me. He says, where can I see you? He says, come to the masjid. So he came to the masjid. The man looked familiar, but he couldn't actually point out who he was. After that, the man said, let me actually see what you do. Let me watch you pray. Let me hear what the congregation is all about. After this, he says, I want to become a Muslim. You know what he said? He says, you're right. You know me. You know who I am? I'm the guard that was standing right next to you. I listened to you, but I couldn't say anything. I came here because those guards are actually not allowed to speak about anything, not allowed to smile, not allowed to share, not allowed to ask. It's out of the norm. They can't. They're not allowed according to the job description. But when they went home, you know what happened? He became a human being, just like you and I. He became a Muslim. And after he declared the Shahada, he started crying. You know why? Because he found the peace and sincerity. So my dear brothers and sisters in Islam, if you want to walk that path, you have to have sincerity. It's number 1 on the list. Indeed. So if you seek the pleasure of people, it is riya. If you stop doing things, it's shirk. So we cannot do things for the sake of people, nor that we can stop doing the things for the sake of people. So when you get on the pulpit and somebody gives you a hard time or hackles you, what are you going to do? Yeah, what? You and blah, 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 I'm going to bleep and all that stuff. It's not coming up through here. But you know what I'm talking about. It's true. You'll do that all the time. You will see the ignorant people in your face all the time. Wallahi, we have the most harm coming from our own. Not our enemies, comes from our own. It's true. So, and that's the reason I told you that one of my teachers says when you get on the pulpit, put your head on your palm. And that's it. You're assassinated whether you like it or not. People always do that. Keep that focus, my dear brothers and sisters in Islam. Wallahi, it's right here. So if you stop doing what you're doing, did you do it for the sake of Allah or did you do it for the sake of people? So make sure you do things for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And I'll give you this example. I'm sure you know this man. You know the guy that is forced to come to the masjid? You know, dad made him come. Mom said, you know what? No cookies for you. No soup for you. If you know what I'm talking about, I need to talk to you on the side. You know what he said? He says he puts the Quran, you know, he's holding it upside down. You know what it is? It's not Chinese, dude. So he doesn't even know how to hold the Quran. But he's looking at this and he's thinking of something else, and all of a sudden he hears that door open. Of course he goes, Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. Sure. What happens? He's talking to people. Wow, look at his prayer. It's so much khushu'. It's amazing, man. And then he hears people talking about it. And instead of going, Alhamdulillah, he's really slowing down. And people are saying, wow, what a beautiful man. And he turns around and goes, and I'm fasting too. That's not khushu' nor sincerity. So we're going to start going back to that first one, which is one, people don't exist. If people come in your life, go out of your life, it doesn't matter, because you're only dealing with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. However, this Ikhlās is a big subject. We're not going to finish it here. We're going to have some more episodes for you. So please come back and join us in order for us to talk about Ikhlās. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us Ikhlās. Ameen. Wa akhir da'wa. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. Wa sallallahu ala alihi wa sahbihi wa tabi'in. Jazakumullah khayran. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.